floor is open to you. But before you begin, I would like to apologize because Dr. Dhar, our chairperson, is not here, along with a number of other faculty members of the university. They've had to rush to attend to very important meeting of the university. They may be here later, we do not know, but at the moment, I think they'll be absent. I'll pass over the control of this session to Mrs. Rupali, who will take over from there.
Thank you, sir. So hello and welcome to all the ISAGA members, eminent panel members, and dear participants in the ISAGA 2021 webinar series organized by International Simulation and Gaming Association and Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Indore, India. The topic of today's webinar is why do simulation and games drive the digital transformation of cities and regions? And for the session, we have with us a very eminent speaker, Dr. Hidehiko KANEGAE, Professor, Faculty of Policy Science, Institute of Disaster Mitigation of Urban Cultural Heritage, Ritsumeikan University, Japan. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the University and other members, I once again welcome you for the session. Before inviting Sir for the session, I would like to give the brief introduction to the audience. Dr. Hidehiko KANEGAE is PhD and Faculty of Policy Science, Institute of Disaster Mitigation of Urban Cultural Heritage, Ritsumeikan University, Japan. He is 4th Industrial Revolution Special Committee member, Osaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ISAGA EB in 2017 to 2021, and ISAGA President from 2015 to 2016, JASAG President from 2017 to 2021, Vice President of the Pacific Regional Science Conference Organization, PRSCO, and Regional Science Association International, RSAI, and Japan National Delegation from the year 2015 to 2018 of International Society of City and Regional Planners, ISO-CARP. His major areas of work are planning, training, gaming simulation for regional sustainable development and planning exercise programs that is published in Integrated Global Model of Sustainable Development in UNESCO Encyclopedia of Life Support System. I once again welcome to you, sir. I request you to please start the session.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Could I start?
Yes.
Sharing my slides. Today, anyhow, thank you very much for inviting me. Good chance for having a presentation of the related simulation and gaming issues. But today, I considered there are many fields of studies, but today I would like to talk about planning phenomena related with simulation and gaming. So this is agenda. Mainly, you can easy to imagine about many things about the new tendency of future digital transformation issues. But today, I would like to focusing on to the planning and the urban and the regional issues, so on. Here is a keywords. There are so many things, but after that, so you can recognize some of the important issues, mandates, whatever we would like to change into the future. So at the beginning, main topic of today is planning phenomenon. Usually the planning treats someone's, but usually we call so a planner's future, who had once been dreamed. This picture shows Richard Duke wrote and published the famous booklet, which is treated about experimental planning games for politics, strategy, development, and management. Maybe I think someone, not all, but this is very great book. The title is Gaming, the Future's Language. So what I would like to say is planning and the future. Yeah, planning includes the meaning of the futures, but also the gaming is very high synchronization for the planning issues, so on. So before talking about planning, I'd like to talk about the basic concept of planning. Today I would like to talk about the planning after the Industrial Revolution. That means after the modern times. But before the modern times, like imperialism, only kings, emperors, or despots could decide the future. Slaves had no authority to determine future freedom, so on. But the modern times, modern planning includes intense democracy. And also modern planning is based on the democracy, so on. And usually the modern planning covers for the goal or objective is just a target. And the strategy means to the scenario or route how to achieve for those kind of the goals, objectives. Tactics is a sort of the last 1 mile way or so on. The strategy is more higher hierarchy of the structure, so on. And the decision making itself is consensus building in democracy, decision promotion, and the public participation process. Maybe you are familiar with this kind of the basic terminology and concepts, so on. So this is Society 5, first agenda. This table shows to the Society First 1.0 is before the settlement revolution, agricultural revolution. It's a hunting time. Society 2.0 is starting for the agriculture, which is started at the same time settlements revolution occurred. Society 3.0 is a sort of manufacturing starting for our modern times. But honestly to say, before the modern times, those kind of the systems, revolutions started. But the first industrial revolution is a steam engine, using for the steam engine and fossil fuel, basically using for the charcoal, coal, so on. And the manufacturer industry, mass production started, and the machine era started. And after that, those our current modern times improved for the starting of systems era, second industrial revolutions, internal combustion engine and electric motors started. And the Society 4.0 has already started the digital time, digital era, and the service industry or ICT business or so on are started. At the end of 20th century, and so on. And the third industrial revolution, internet, also becoming a common infrastructures of our daily life. And also Society 5 today. I would like to talk about cyber physical fusion time. And at those time, the gamified society is a fundamental of our future society 5.0. And the target itself is technological singularities would be occurred 2045, so on. And also before many of our societies, of course, it's a formal and public policies intends to the first milestone as 2030. Later I will explain you about it. This is frameworking. And also, there are many scholars and writers wrote many books. And the famous one is, for instance, Technium by Kevin Carey. And Novason, James Lovelock also wrote for the future tendencies, so on. And also related with those paradigm shift for society 5.0 of the cyber physical fusion time, there are many drastic changes would be occurred, but some of them had already arisen. It's not a big portion in our society. So important thing is the city itself is and also was and also covered the connections for the cyber and the physical space. In the bottom, so the Professor Dr. Yoro Takeshi called brainism. Someone thought in the past in one's brain, the future image, so on. Those imaginations are realized utilizing mainly for the using for the hardware realization and software realization, so on. And left hand, likewise, esports in the cyberspace and SNS game, or in traditionally the religious thing and the novels or dreams. Recently, SNS games, those kind of the thing is dreamed in the cyberspace. And those things published through the media, printed matters, so on. At the same time, those, for instance, drawing someone who felt for the comfortability, and activating someone who feel so high satisfactions. Those dreams are realized with the artificial engineering ways. That is a city. And also the near future, our cyberspace and the physical space will be connected tightly. Real world is irrational. There are so many irrational things occurred, but likewise, playing the game is usually based on to the platform with the gaming rule or game rules, so on. Recently, the compliance or many issues connected. Likewise, for instance, SDGs target and indicators. Those rational things, likewise, game rules are projecting into the real daily life and the real society. City planning itself, it has huge amount of the rules, likewise playing a game, so on. Anyhow, these kind of the tight connections between to the cyberspace activities and the physical and the real space activities, that is sort of fundamental of the Society 5.0. So the similar thing is digital twin. The Wired said it's a mirror world. Digital twin is a sort of the reality connecting to the, for instance, the airplane. Airplane has many sensors. The ship also, it has many sensors, but the airplane has huge amount of sensors, and they're also getting many data real time. That means to the IoT, aggregation set of IoT, so on. The airplane has a computer and storing the data, logging the data, so on. But at the same time, according to the GPS connections, the digital data, those kind of the IoT sensors data, are connected to the GE headquarter, not headquarter, the monitoring sensors, centers. Then the airplane flies real time to get the data and to transfer, but it needs for the subscriptions. Then it can get the data, and it can easy to estimate for the many parts, maintenance and the replacement, with a sort of planned engineering ways. This is very important thing for the digital twinning. And already many of the high cost issues, machines already connected, both in real behavior to the physical dynamic behaviors monitored to the in cyberspace. It's a digital twinning, and also the rapid train already connected to where each train running or having a problem, so on. And also the Industry 4.0. I've already told about after starting of the first industrial revolution, the steam power in the first industry revolution, but after that, electricity and the mass production started in the second. Third would be computer and the automation started. But the fourth industrial revolution means to the connected and the cyber physical systems. Any kinds of the systems are connected and synthesized to work together. This is Industry 4.0. It has many histories. In German context, the maestro, that means to the Meister, technique couldn't to be transferred with the is currently using for the guild style and so on. But they would like to start for the assault of the depopulation of the Meisters to transfer those techniques and skills so on into the computers. And also the evolution of everything Matt Ridley wrote. Yeah, this is just the introduction. He wrote many tendencies, how new ideas emerge, so on. And this is the Inevitable wrote by Kevin Carey, so on. But I would like to talk about different aspect today. Modern planning science has some important fundamental paradigms, so on. The first paradigm, machine era. Second paradigm is systems era, and the third paradigm, digital transformation era. The first machine era paradigm is based on to the predeterminism, which is constructed reductionism, disassembly could be defined, decomposition to a minimum unit. And the second component is analytic thinking. And the third is mechanism, causal reductions. This is the basic fundamental frameworking of the machine era. And next is systems era, of course, still remaining for the predeterminism. But after starting of systems era, machine era machine era intended to the inside and the inside, but systems era has kept those inside watching or inside thinking, but to connect to expanding into the other machines. That is systems era. Systems era was constructed, is constructed expansionism, especially for the after World War II, and constitutive thinking, and also teleology, objective methodology, and into the goal-oriented and the vision-oriented ways. To think about the system or systems, it needs for the objectives or goals or targets, so on. Likewise, EC changing into the EU. EU is also the same of the identically the vision oriented unions, the agglomeration, and to realize those connections, so on. By the way, if we would like to talk about the system, basically the system has input and output. And also the system could be evaluated what function has, what structures and forms could be identified of the system. And nowadays, we are shifting for the digital transformation era. Then, of course, after the Industrial Revolution, massing era, predeterminism, and systems thinking, systems era, and multiple network with big data, and of course, digital transformation and the complexity, and the industry 4.0, going toward society 5.0. Of course, AI, IoT, smart city, and gamified society would be important pillars of the digital transformation era. By the way, talking about a real city, this is very important thing for us. This is a typical model of environmental psychology, sense of place. Usually, we need to know about who I am, which is based on to the personal identity. But personal identity is what? It comes from the sense of place. Of course, family affect. School gives some important something to make our personality. But usually, place or city or region gave and still gives making personal identity. The sense of place is constructed three major ones. First one is geotechnical properties, inherent place identity. And another one is place attachment. And the last one is place dependence. There is place identity. But combination of some of the connections for the place identity, place attachment, and the place dependence makes a sense of place, which will affect to make a personal identity. And these kind of the thing is also important thing for making our city better, or to improve big driving force for the improvement of our city better. For instance, likewise, there are many festivals, cultures. Edmund Park said, city is a kind of stage of mind, a set of attitudes and feelings that are passed on along with customs and traditions. Recently, the cosplayers, new type of the festival makes to attract and give someone who they are. This is also important thing, the software side. And cities, the largest and the most powerful learning devices. Yeah. Usually, the planning process is a synthesis of images, overlapping of someone's brain's imaginations are transferred to the others. But those things is just only information phenomena. Not realized yet. It has a very complicated process, but our brain processor is a sort of synthesis of images. And decision making is also to the selection of those synthesis of images. Talking about the city, yeah, it's not biological sense. City is artificial entity. It covers for the dual sense of both of Darwinism and Lamarckian process together. Biological, organic, transferring to the generation, which needs to the ones to the reorganize to the ones of the starting of the seeds. But Lamarckian process can easy to transfer the previous generations gotten something would be succeeded to the next generations. That means to the time collapsing is possible, and urban cultural phenomena, urban cultural issues would be transferable. That is a very different, like a library, museum, festival, cultural events would be transferred in a city. And also, I'd like to talk about city as a planning is most powerful human beings and the optimal life phenomena. And also, we can simulate. Of course, the planning is based on the prediction or simulations for the future dynamics and the situations. Then the computer simulation is basically based on to the quantitative calculations, like forecasting of the weather, so on. But without computer, we can simulate of qualitative calculations using for the overlapping and synthesis of images, so on. So what I'd like to say is, anyhow, we have originally the highly functioning for the predictions of the simulations, especially for the qualitative simulations could be.
Dr. KANEGAE, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's better. Thank you.
Someone mute me, but okay. Usually the brain would like to realize more rational systems with hardware as artificial entity in a city to other city. But our gene would like to feel more comfortable as a natural biological behaviors. That has a conflict from the viewpoint of the planning. It has environmental issues. And this one is a basic paradigm, but it's okay. I will skip it. And the blueprint dialogue style is also skip. And also the hardware planning, software planning in each Basically the architecture, civil engineering are trained, and the National Planning School also taught in software planning ways, and the civic society, and I'm working at the policy school, and also in near future we need to the social learning and neo-matured democracies, utilizing with the civic tech and digital tools together. That is a digital literacy, digital transformation schools arise. Yeah, I will skip it. That is the same way. And he is John Friedman, who wrote for a part of toward a non-Euclidean mode of planning. John Friedman is a famous professor who wrote the Empowerment booklet. And I was in charge for his discussant for the planning of the new modern style of mature democracy issues. But there are many variations. But what I would like to say is this book is Readings in Planning Theory. It's a textbook, but more than half covers for the talking about, treating about the democracy. Yeah, at the beginning of today's, I explained to you. And this is the keywords, also the same one. Technology, participatory technology assessment is also utilizing so on. Also the participatory ways of the, assessment also needed. Because that the city planning itself and the realization of our dreams, that is usually introducing to the new technologies what our human beings to realizing time. And also it's frameworking and trends for the urbanization and stable urban dwelling. Some of the amenities, QoL or landscape, comfortable landscape would be needed. After that, the rough history. And also, I will skip it. It's very limited time. And also, the city planning was designed originally for the economic growth. To shortage of the some infrastructures makes of the depletion of the economic growth. At the beginning in London, it didn't cover for the environmental issue, human rights, environmental issues, so on. But after the many regression of victims, environmental pollution, disasters, those things are built in. And she is Jane Jacobs. She wrote final booklet with 5 central pillars for the discontinuity. For the ultimate city planning goal is to succeed from the previous generation to the next generations of the city. But the discontinuity is important thing to abandon for the succession. She wrote and she said the titling with the dark age ahead. In some hints, in the booklet, there are some hints to recognize, to avoid for those discontinuity of a city. Yeah, this is a booklet. And the next one is my explanation of spatial cycle model. This table shows to the history of the 1 million, over the 1 million population. In the ancient time, the big driving force to make 1 million cities provided by the slaves. But after the modernization, the main driving force for the increasing of the population is gathering labors through the migrants. But except for Edo, Edo was a sort of ultimate eco-city. But after the modernization means London, Paris, Tokyo. In the future, India, Delhi, New Delhi covers the top. And at the end of 21st century, Kinshasa will be a largest city. And the megacity itself is economic growth tendency, great expansion, and the migration that started. Right-hand side is a basic city model with urban sprawl, so on. And the migration makes to the megacity, and yeah, many people drive to work and getting high income through the factory workers. That makes the megacity. That's the reason why the modern industrial revolution makes our modern planning. And health problem occurred, and limits of growth, and the sustainable development arise, and the technological singularity, multipolarity revolution, and the gaming society will be coming. This is Claessen's and someone's developed the spatial cycle model. This one is horizontal axis is core, density of core increasing or decreasing, and for the ring increasing or decreasing. And first one stage is the centralization and the economic growth. It is so-called urbanization. And the second stage is decentralization, suburbanization, and growth. And this is a typical model of the CBD is a central place. All the historic centers with the wall traditionally. And also it covers for the outside of the wall, it has a downtown. Usually the factories are located here. And the trains, intercity, mechanized intercity traffic lines are coming here. And the subway or trams are coming, crossing to the suburban area. And also in suburban, it has a machinized ring road or ring railways, which is connected intercity traffic lines. And recently, after the 20th century, airport link connected. This is a typical model. And the third stage is decentralization and economic declining. Fourth stage is starting again for the centralization, but economic is declining. This is the famous model of the spatial cycle model. And after that, also now is a transition of the time for shifting third and fourth stage of our stage in many recent cities. In some parts, starting for the shared economy, universal basic income, and gamified societies. But the original spatial cycle model is mismatching for our future phenomena. I cannot believe it, restarting of the first stage again. Yeah, of course, something, gentrification and economic growth started. But though these kind of gentrification and gated cities way with high-income people only gathering into the urbanization is a bit different phenomenon. So in this sense, the creative cities, Charles Ludley wrote, new industries related with the seven cultural industries are arising. And also it makes revitalization. Likewise at Turin's. Turin in Italy was a capital, but after the last belt of the Fiat industry, it was declining depression of the economics, but restarting for the gathering for the creative industries make revival of Turin's right now. These kind of thing makes new tendencies for arising. And instead of the spatial cycle, Grassen's spatial cycle model, I propose for the next one is this style of 21st century, especially for the COVID-19 pandemic, makes the different natural selection pressures toward for the technological singularities, so on. At the same time, now we are in the time for the natural disasters. This is frequency, number of natural disasters around the world. 21st century is a time for natural disasters. And also the, from the viewpoint of the final goals, the car itself is from origin from A to B. Those kind of the target and the objective utilizing by the machines is the same, whether human driver or machine driver. But the machine itself is AI, but that is similar to with the wheel of smartphones with connected and the cloud systems. So, and this is Nagoya Port. Right figure shows to the without drivers. Inside of the port, the trucks without drivers to move for the containers. Not only for the Nagoya, Singapore and Rotterdam, also these kind of the without human beings makes more safety and higher efficiency of the logistic moving, so on. And in smart agriculture, without farmers using for the GPS to automation of the AI tractors, cultivate, so on. And also the solar panel connecting to generate for many electricity powers into the isolated farming land. And it has many IoT sensors. agriculture also becomes machinized industries, less farmers. And vertical farm, the new farms rise inside of the building in inner city, which provides to the supermarket and the restaurant directly, without chemicals, without how can I say, the long time, less ecological footprint, so on. And also in near future, our modern cities becoming to the origin from the migration for attracting of the labors in the factories. But likewise, automated port, automated factories, there are no labors, less labors. Farming land also less farmers. That means to the factories would be located more highly advantaged locations is better, close to the port or in the suburban area with more fresh waters, with more highly high-powered electric solar panel location place, so on. That means to the after starting of the modernization, our cities and locations and the attracting of the labors, habitations, those kind of things are becoming to generate of our modern style of urban forms. But in near future, it would be location free, which makes to the different types of course, the less labor style makes another things for the universal basic income needed. And telework also makes a sort of freedom of the commuting into the city center, so on. And yeah, at the glance, the original building keeps the same forms. This is the American building. Originally, the horse parking and this brick building was warehouse. But after the modernization, it becoming a car parking building. And they also unmanned shared ride vehicles are located. And also in near future, maybe it comes a drone delivery fleet, likewise that. At the glance, the landscape side shape and forms is similar as it is, but inside functioning changed and replaced. So the shrinking mix and also the counter-urbanization and the esports stadium and the smart city makes the different style of location-free new structure of the cities. And at the same time, so without labor, usually the factory 24 hours, it has 3 shifts of the labors. But through automation, the robotics AI makes endless for the production. How do we get for the tax? Recently, the digital tax, AI tax, robotic tax is considered. And they also, without labor, but it makes highly add some values, which makes to more production to satisfy of our goods and services to consume our daily life and business, so on. But those kind of the value-added activities generate for the new taxation without working, which makes for the income redistributions. That is famous experimental policy for universal basic income. Losing labor chance in the factories, but at the same time, it comes a huge amount of income gain and tax, so on. People would like to become the freedom from labor. That is a big driving force for the do something for, yeah, of course, SNS or YouTuber, vlogger, streamer, and esports players, so on. And also the multiple habitation in various regions, and factories are also the location free, which makes changing of our urban structure and economic systems, so on, urban economic systems together. Then my idea is innovation driving society start at the beginning of digital transformation. And the gamified society to satisfy for the digital twinning, and also the society 5, freedom from the labor. But after that, the James Lovelock said, the taking over of the load of creation, the Novacen, who mean to the Homo sapiens handover and coexisting hyper-intelligent entity. And also at the same time, so the energy efficiency changing for the someone who would like to know about the efficiency of our Earth, Dyson sphere, and Kardashev scale told us. But honestly to say, recently, now is 2020, but in near future, the renewable energy cost becomes lower than the fossil fuel, which means in near future, solar panel and the renewable energies makes us shifting for more sustainable energy society to be achieved. Yeah. Okay, and those kind of the investment is related with the ESG investment. And also the simulation-based gamified society is rising together. This is Homo LUDENS, the famous Huizinga wrote. The people would like to play a game. And the Homo Deus said, Harari also wrote, we moved to the more different stage. That means to the in Harari said the useful class and the useless class. Likewise, updating of the firmware of the smartphone or computers is similar to our talent and how can I say, the knowledge and the wisdom replacement is needed. And also the near future, the cyber physical fusion sphere, useful class, useless class, and the mental rewarded class will be. In ancient time is also the slave or something. But in near future, new wealthy people in information era, infosphere age, new wealthy people, gaming class, new creative class of the second stage, novice performance, and many other new classes will be arised in the city. This is mileage system, royalty system. The game mechanism marketing is becoming common. And also, I will finish in a few minutes. Simulation and gaming covers for the assault of many fields in cyberspace, in brain activities. These webinars treated different aspects of simulation and gaming. And simulation gaming overlapping here as a gaming simulation. Usually the gaming simulation uses recently man-machine simulations, but not only for the man-machine simulation. Man-man, human-human simulation is also still in the gaming simulation. But what I would like to say is human participated simulation is a gaming simulation. We can do qualitative simulations just using cars, but we can play a game. Yeah, this is everyone knows. Advantage of gaming simulation, we can recognize dynamics, behavior, complexity, and the model systems, and awareing world view, sometimes bad view or satellite view, so on. This is okay, passing. Then the gamification and the gamified society also. I'd like to finally to talk about the civic tech and the citizen science gives to a rise for the neo-democracy. People has highly skill and talent and wisdom. And also the digitalization makes to huge amount of the people to be shifted and connected to cyber and the real world. And also the government also started for the open data policies around the world. The open data, the open government data also the center of the digitalization of the fundamental of digital transformations. Many autonomies already started for providing digital data. This is a Kyoto Open Data. At the same time, so the national level for the 3D modeling, not a map. Map is a 2-dimension, but this is a 3 dimensions of surface of all of the cities, statistically. Japan already, around Japan, provided for the all places with the 3D. We can use it. Yeah, and also we can do getting overlapping for the satellite data, remote sensing data to overlap for these kind of the 3D mapping. And also at the same time, it has many code for areas, code for America, to encourage for the intelligent skill of the programming. That is a citizens movement, big movement. People can make a program, apps, utilizing for those kind of the open data. Public services would be provided by citizens. And the education, EdTech also, the similar one. Distance learning becomes common after especially for the COVID-19 phenomenon. SDGs also more rational, target-oriented to controlling of the same indicators to every cities, regions, so on, which is a sort of preparation for the digital transformations. And also those kind of the tendencies shown, mentioned by the reality is broken by Jane McGonigal. Someone who would like to know about, please read it. And finally, sorry, extending to the time.
Excuse me, sir. You
Hi.
can take how
Yeah.
much time you want. There is no issue.
No, this is finishing. This is concluding remarks.
Unity.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for taking the time.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a really wonderful session for all of us. And you have discussed very well about various digital transformation and techniques of simulation and gamings. Thank you so much. I request panel members and participants to please ask their questions. You may write your questions in the Q&A tab also. And panelists, you can directly ask the questions if you have. Sir, ma'am, is there any question you want to ask? Vinod, I think Vinod sir is asking any question. One question I would like to read on behalf of Ms. Elizabeth, ma'am, that what is your own view of the future you are describing?
Hi, thank you, Elizabeth. My point of view is for the spatial cycle model would be changing. And also the original model is restarting of the same modeling. But I'd like to say is according to the losing of jobs, works, which makes the different types of the urban forms, but at the same time, the getting the freedom from those labors makes us for attracting to playing a game. Anyhow, the younger generation use huge amount of the time for the playing network game. Not only for the network game, card game or board game also, but recently, after especially for the pandemic, people are connected through online. And those places like a studio or a playing center are, how can I say, developed into the previous cafe or coffee shop or some other places. That makes the changing for the new tendency for the people's behaviors. Not a pastime, but instead for they would express who they are is foresight and the behind side of the coins, playing a game, and also the government and the administration becomes similar to the game. Before irrational regulations and many fragmented, likewise, bureaucratic sectionalism makes how can I say, inconvenient services from the public sectors. But nowadays, we need to know, like a game, please change the old established regulations to fitting to the like more clear and like a similar to play a game. That is so from the software side viewpoint, the city and the city management and the planning will be changed. At the same time, the city forms, the city planning itself is urban form phenomena, which will be changed. The factories moved from the city, not center, but the city side to the in the rural area also.
Thank you. That was very helpful. It was amazing talk. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sir, one more question I would like to ask on behalf of Veronica. Can games be a remedy for digital illiteracy? If so, what are conditions for designing them?
Oh, good question.
Renewable energy, I told. Renewable energy. The production of the renewable energy is now becoming to the double or triple size, gigawatt, so on. And in near future, the solar panel will be placed in many places. India is also the big country for generating of the solar powers. But unfortunately, those kind of the solar panels will be connected to the other countries. It's better. But unfortunately, those power grid lines around the Earth, yeah, the Earth is moving, and some part every time daytime, but the other side is nighttime. But without for the connections, these kind of the power supplies are very limited right now. But the battery revolution is now ongoing, which makes electricity dam capacitor would be a new type of the batteries. Yeah, especially for the Elon Musk also try to make a huge amount of the battery centers. But at the same time, we need for the smart grid for around the world. Likewise, optical fiber network of the internet. Which, yeah, of course, there are many elements for the saving energy of the CPU of the game machines. At the same time, data center and the cloud servers are located in cold places. The consumption of the computer CPU or some hardwares is smaller than the air conditioner. Air conditioning machines consumes huge amount of the powers. Then the many data centers is now located into the more close to the polar side or cold places. The average of temperature is lower. But what I would like to say is there are many solving ways and also the saving, not only for the saving energy, and production of huge amount of the renewable energy powers will be satisfied to the consumption of the games. Sorry. Yeah, at the same time, the factory also becoming saving energy style. Yeah, is it okay? I'm not quite sure.
Is there any other question from panel members?
Well, Veronica was also interested in whether we can use games to remedy digital illiteracy. So can we use games to teach people how to use digital technologies better?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a good question, but I cannot answer clearly right now.
No.
Yeah, but for instance, many of the games give some hints for the training of AI. Recently, the electric games like game environment is generated by the computers artificially. Then also the player by player, yeah, of course they can choose for League of Legends also. They can choose for the weapons or avatars, so on. But the like PlayStation or new type of the electric games, also the game environment space is generated by artificial intelligence. Then those artificial intelligence are trained by the players. Each player makes their attributes, properties, and some tendency for the like or dislike, gives some good trainer for the machine learning, so on. And multiple agent in some game platforms makes to use for the more than 10,000 to 50,000 agents at the same time, generating to control. Well, that means to the battle type of the electric games, the enemies of the 10,000 enemies are generating to battle automatically.
I request Vinod sir to please ask the question.
Okay. I think partially my question was similar to Elizabeth's. It was about the future. Dr. KANEGAE spoke about several scenarios of the future, of course. But I wondered how powerful is our concept of simulations and games to influence others, to change the scenario. Planning is a very passive process. Simulations and games, if it works, because it helps us understand at a deeper level, surprises us, excites us, could make us do things faster. That means it influences us to think differently. But I don't think we're doing it well enough. So that's what I wanted to ask Dr. KANEGAE, because he showed us several futures today. How can we make simulations and games work to make us realize a better future faster than ever before?
I told to you I introduced to some of the hints already. First one is participatory technology assessment. Likewise, a policy exercise game makes to collaborate and to gather the wisdom of multiple citizens' ideas, and some hints would be gathered together. Game has both sides. One is getting a solution to the future, better solutions. But another side is to train of the citizens to be That means to the as a sense of learning by doing to change our democratic way. That means to the neo-democracy style for the game or gaming is needed, because that to predict to the future in different persons. Different person has a different assessment for the future, like a risk or some other things. But those kind of the multiple risk assessment and also agglomeration of these kind of the assessments makes to the good way. Gaming is a good communication ways for the risk communications, which reduce for the future risk, sometimes uncertainty, but usually the risk which could be identified to the probability of the future damage, so on. That means to the well and sound citizen participatory way of learning is that gaming is a key for this kind of the soundness of the citizenship. The planning itself is a way to realize of getting future freedom. In democracy means to the citizen needs to realize to expand one's their future's freedom. Of course, someone's freedom makes a conflict for another person, but usually these kind of the sound citizenship, the participatory way of planning is a key for creating our society better. That means to at the beginning, I showed you to the future language, Richard Duke policy gaming booklet. Maybe you read it. Yeah, policy gaming has a functioning for expanding of our new citizen encouraging for the lifelong learning style of neo-democracies. Yeah, of course, new technology arise suddenly, Uber coming, but I couldn't recognize. Elderly people especially said, it's very complicated, but the teaching or learning each other that makes to give some assessment and getting a risk assessment and through the risk communication makes anyhow to choose better future situations of freedom is better.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for answering questions. I now request founder of Mentes, Dr. Vinod Dablekar, sir, to propose words of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. KANEGAE, you have presented before us several views of the future, several scenarios. Many of them could be approachable. I'm not so certain. I'm very skeptical about projections of the future. But when you put in years, dates like 2030 and 2045, and you brought in issues like SDGs and so on, I am grateful, I think that's the right word, that simulations and games could do something for all of us, to do good for every one of us. Thank you very much for a very elaborate presentation. I'm sorry that Dr. Dhar and many members of his team, Dr. Dubey, Dr. Rajawat and others who could have been here are missing today because of some urgent meeting that they have had to attend. But I'm very happy that regulars like Elizabeth and Toshiko and others like Jaga, etc. are here to participate and listen.
Thank you very
And
much.
encourage us with their questions. I hope all of you, whosoever is listening, are participating in the annual conference of ISAGA between the 6th and 10th of September. It is going to be a very lively conference. A collection of contributions and presentations are going to be very, very good. So hope all of you will be there, and I hope you'll be there at the next presentation, which is where the speaker will be Toshiko Kikawa from Japan. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you for all the people at Sri Vaishnava University for having conducted this. This is our 24th speaker. I didn't realize that we could have such a long run. We first started in October last year with Sabers being the first speaker. Thank you all for a great support. Otherwise, we would have been squashed. Good to see you, Elizabeth. Good to see you, Toshiko, and others as well. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all for all participants for being with us for the webinar. So see you soon for the next webinar. All participants are requested to fill the feedback form as mentioned in the chat box. So see you soon in the next webinar. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vinod, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry, a couple of questions have come a little late. I think they could not be attended to, for we were already beyond the 4 o'clock time. But thank you for asking. I think we need more questions to help us understand the future and to understand ourselves. Good day. Good day. Thank you. Thank you.